Okay, on the panel today, I'm joined by Toby Knight, who's a passionate Thai Port fan, and as per usual, Henry Leask, the ex-Phuket Andaman coach. Welcome, guys. Thanks for coming along.
Hi, Simon. Hi, Henry.
Okay, so first of all, let's run through the week's results really quickly. We had Lampung Warriors versus Bangkok United. Was a 1-0 win to Bangkok United. Pretty bread and butter for the second place team. Just cementing that gap between them and third place. We had the second 3-3 draw of the weekend with Nakorn Ratchasima versus Rayong, which just really highlights poor defending, really, I think, throughout the league. You guys catch the highlights?
Yeah. Entertaining. Yeah, if you have no skin in the game, for sure. But yeah, I agree. Terrible defending. Well, Rayong are looking good for survival, I got to say. I think they've been steadily improving over the course of the season, even though they're close to the drop. I think they got enough to keep their head above water, for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I like their shirts as well. I give them that credit just for that shirt.
That's a fashion crime happening in real time there. Yeah.
A quick chat with Dennis Murillo after the game, and here's what he had to say. Hi, Dennis. Thank you for joining me. That was a crazy 3-3 draw.
Hi, Simon. It feels frustrating. We're feeling the dressing room after game. We're feeling like we lost the game because we have the game in our hands. We control most of the game, in my opinion, and we make 3-1. And after when everyone's thought the 3 points are our hands, we consist to go in the last 10 minutes. So on the dressing room after game, the feeling of we lost the game.
Yeah, understandable. You scored again today. That makes it 2 matches in a row. Are you feeling confident in your current form?
For a striker, definitely when you score the goals, is the confidence get better. But for me, my opinion, I always say I prefer the team win because this is the main thing. But of course, if you talk about personal things, always good to score, always good to help the team. But it'd be perfect if you get 3 points or so.
If both went in unison, then it would be far better. But yeah, the game was a real roller coaster. Were you surprised by how open it was towards the end?
We have the plan. This game we have the plan to. We don't want to wait Hayong to propose the game. We want to try to control the game, and in my opinion, we do well. They have chance more like a set piece, so crossing, and we have a lot of chance on the beginning. Greg almost scored, Dave almost scored in the beginning, so we play well. I think one of the best game we play so far, and when we make 1-1, the game is still in control. But unfortunately, have that penalty, like a little touch in the VAR call, and when they score 1-1, we need to open again, and you go to the second half. Coach talked to us, just we need to keep what we do in the first half because the result is gonna come because we play well. So that's what we did. We still go and we still pressing them, and we make 2-1 and 3-1, and after that, I don't know what happened. I don't know if we relax a little bit, but unfortunately we consist 3-3. We don't expect that because I feel on the pitch when 3-1, Rayong almost not give up, but they play shield. They don't believe too much, but when they score 3-2 by set piece, they get power. So they start to pressing eyes. They put more crossing our area. So that's become the third goal too. So on the end, it's really frustrating for us, for coach, for the fans, for everyone, because if you get these 3 points at home, we're going to be very far from the relegation zone, and you're going to be very near for the top 5. This is our goal. So it's really frustrating result.
Overall, I mean, the season has been up and down, but I feel like you're in better form now after a win and a draw. You seem to be picking up a bit. Is the mood in the dressing room positive going forward for the rest of the season?
Actually, we start the second leg very confident. We finished the first leg well, so we actually start very confident, but the result don't come. We got 3-0 at home, lost by Nakorn. We don't expect that. We go to Lampung and get 3-0 too. So it's really hard. Lost 2 games. Our confidence, of course, we go down. But we talk between there's room between us. We need to back to the basic. Is mean let's defend first, and after try to score the goals. But we need points. So that's what we did against Utai. Many people don't understand why we play defend at home, but that's the situation. we agreed to save first and play counter-attack and get some points for the confidence to get back. So that's what we did. We win no Titani, but we don't play so well, but we win the game. That's important. And against Rayong, we have confidence to play more attack, and that's what we did. Unfortunately, this 3-3, I mean, not what to expect, but if we won this game 3-1, like, it would be perfect because we follow the plan, because we have two hard games coming out next 2 games.
I mean, it's hard. I guess when you're 3-1 up, it does feel like a loss because you've sort of thrown the game away. You've been in good form, though. You've scored some goals recently and got assists. Do you have personal targets for the season? You set yourself targets for goals and assists?
I never set goals myself. Never. Of course, I want to score more as possible. First, for help the team, and second, because it's good for striker already score. And this first leg, I scored 3 goals and 1 assist. I missed a lot of games, so I think I missed 6 games. So now in 3 games on second leg, I scored 2 goals. So I would keeping scoring, because if I scoring, probably we have more chance to win. But I want to so can help the team with defense, offense, and open space for my friends. So that's the main thing. We in Korat always talk. We don't have like a one main player. We always have the teamwork. That's what make we team strong. So I always think about that, and also I think about that. Of course, I want to score the goals, but I don't set numbers and target.
You've got some tough games coming up. Bangkok United, you said, in Ratchaburi. Team positive going forward, thinking they can get some points out of these games?
Yes, we frustrated about the last game, but already today have training. We move on from that because we have hard game against Chamburi also. I don't know if Chamburi come in the first team and the second team, but anyways, it will be a tough game because league cup game is always like that. One game is 90 minutes or 120 minutes or penalty, so it's always hard game to play. And after that, you have BU and Ratchaburi, one of the best forms now in the league. Buriram, Ratchaburi, and BU. So we know it's hard, but we know also how they play match with our style. We don't have problem with defend a little bit and go to counter-attack. We don't have problem with that. So probably be interesting game to see, and I think you're gonna be ready for face these 2 good teams.
I look forward to hopefully talking to you after those as well. Thank you so much for your time, Dennis. I really appreciate it, and good luck on Wednesday. Let's hope you go through. Okay.
Thank you, Dino. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. And then after that, we had Muang Thong United versus Nong Bua, which was a 2-1 win for Muang Thong. Hard laboured in the end, I thought.
Yeah, it's an important 3 points for them in terms of keeping the pressure on Port up in the upper echelons of the league, and important to get some momentum. But yeah, going by the reports from the game, it was pretty hard work for them, I think.
I think so. They've luckily got a game in hand, so I think that game in hand will be very telling on the final league table. And then today we had Utai Tani beating Sukhothai 3-0, which was a bit of a shock, I thought. It's their first win in a while and sort of lifts them out of the trouble zone. Pracha beat Chiang Rai 2-0, which sort of, I think, could be the doom for Chiang Rai long term. I mean, they've still got games to play, but it doesn't look wonderful. After their impressive results recently, they should have...
Yeah, we spoke positively about their defence last week, but they've not been able to kind of build on that, and that result keeps them in the bottom 3. And yeah, scoring goals for them is the big issue.
Yeah, well, they were really good last week. Down the right hand side, I was actually surprised by this one. And then tonight we had Nakorn Pathom versus Buriram United. For about the first 25 minutes, everyone was excited in the whole of Thailand. We had a 1-0 lead for Nakorn Pathom. I could sense Lyle turning over in the stands. And then Buriram turned it on as per usual and came back and scored 3.
I think we're dealing with the inevitable procession of the champions, kind of just not even going into second or first gear really in some games. I mean, they're just a cut above the rest at the moment, and the new signings look good quality, and I still maintain that Neil Etheridge is the signing of the season. Really, I think bringing in a goalkeeper of that caliber really just cements Buriram's place at the top, and I can't see many teams getting the better of them over the rest of the season.
It'll be interesting to see if he stays, actually, because long term, I don't know if he's a cut above this league, I think.
Oh yeah, him and Bissoli certainly should be plying their trade in better leagues, but they're there for obvious reasons as well. They're going to win championships. They get good salaries as well. But yeah, let's see. I mean, it's clear that Newin's already brought in new talent as well. What's his name? Boyuki started over Bissoli tonight, so I think we're going to see a bit of a changing of the guard, just like Buriram kind of do every year, really.
Yeah. And then the other game tonight, we had BG Patum United winning 4-1 over Konkan United. Not really much of a surprise with the bottom team still rooted at the bottom. Yeah, I mean, there's not much to say, really. Interesting appointment with Anthony Hudson due to come in very shortly.
Yeah, super interesting appointment, and probably one from left field, not one of the usual names that kind of goes round the merry-go-round, but they've seemed to have kind of put their feelers out and come up with someone that's got a good track record at different levels in the game in different parts of the world. So yeah, it's interesting from a fan's point of view that hopefully for their perspective, it's one that they can get behind. Also that they give him time to kind of shape it the way that he sees, because ultimately that's going to be the crucial part for him.
Yeah, well, good luck with the time part for sure. Yeah, he's well travelled for sure. I say, yeah, he's definitely coached in interesting places and could definitely bring some new perspective to them. But coaches very rarely get that time that they need. So wish him luck. You've probably only got 4 to 6 months in the job to make your mark.
Yeah, but as Henry says, I think it's actually great that we have new faces. I mean, once
Totally.
he's in Thailand, he'll probably be here for the next 5 years, rotating around different clubs. At least he's bringing someone new, and that experience of the US team, and he's such a famous father as well, a hero of mine, Alan Hudson. So that leaves the table in really the same sort of state. We've got Buriram with an 8-point lead over Bangkok United, and they've got a similar lead over Port in third. And then Konkan, Nakorn Patom, and Chiang Rai sort of stuck at the bottom. I don't really see that changing for the time being, but it can still, the excitement's still at the bottom of the table, I believe. Okay.
Yeah, there's so many teams within that kind of final relegation spot. If you look at Konkan and Nakorn Patom, you'd probably almost say, yeah, they're finished. But above them, you're almost looking up to 8th and 9th position for any of these teams that can get dragged into it. None of these teams look particularly strong in kind of both departments. They've got their strengths, but yeah, that's why they're down there, I suppose. Unless some teams can put a little run together, then all of these teams can easily get sucked into it.
Yeah, and I think if you look at the top, it's a bit of a carbon copy of last season, really. And I think that credit to Bangkok United for making it still a little bit entertaining, but I can't see them catching up Buriram. So I think, and I definitely can't see Port coming anywhere close to first or second. So I think, yeah, I agree with Henry. Just look to the bottom more for entertainment over the next few weeks and months.
I mean, I think that Ratchaburi and Sukhothai, as we'll probably discuss quite shortly, are two teams that are changing it up a bit. They're bringing a new dynamic to it. And hopefully with teams like that raising their game, it makes that competition for continental spots a bit higher. And that will increase the quality of the game long term. If they are constantly strengthening, that eventually they push each other on to increase and push towards a title challenge, maybe. Who knows? Maybe it's wishful thinking, as always.
Yeah, it gives these fans something to strive towards, and if they do qualify for continental competitions, then you've got the challenge of balancing continental competitions with domestic form, which brings its own problems, which can therefore give other teams the chance to catch up a wee bit.
Also, this week we had the terrible news that Samut Prakan City have finally been dissolved. They've had all their points wiped off from the T2 table, and they won't exist anymore. There's a big fine for the owners and a ban from football, from what I can see. It's a sorry state, really, where the club gets dissolved mid-season. It really raises the point, guys. Should football in Thailand have a fit and proper owner check?
Yes. Unfortunately, we know what the situation is like in Thailand, and unless there was some revolution within the Thai FA and within the Premier League to kind of have fit and proper owners, we're just going to see the same type of owner time and time again, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably a sad state of affairs because actually even in the UK or in Europe, we have these tests and they're not really enforced. And we still have bad owners there all the time. But maybe the league's just too big as well. I mean, in T3 alone, there's 69 teams this year. That's
Yeah, I think that's one of the bigger issues for me is having worked in T3 and seen a lot of the challenges that a lot of the kind of more rural clubs face in terms of attracting sponsorship and match day spectators. The two key income generators. There's far too many clubs in my opinion. You look at the South Zone in T3. There's 12 clubs, with some cities having 2 clubs. Can an area of that size and that kind of population sustain 12 professional football clubs? I'm not saying it can't sustain football clubs, but the costs of operating on a professional level for a full season, particularly when there's travel involved, and I think it's a massive burden and something that potential owners maybe don't see before they take the reins. Yeah, my thoughts are with the fans, obviously, the players, and everyone who's kind of struggling there at the moment, as other people are, I'm sure.
I'm sure it won't be the last one we see, so we'll buckle up and brace ourselves a bit more. But I think a change is needed, and I don't know how we do that, to be honest with you, but we'll see. So moving on to this week's deep dive, Friday night's game between Port FC and Ratchaburi. So firstly, Toby, I remember Christmases at Simon's house growing up, and my grandmother having a huge go at my father because he drank too much port, and she made out that port made him too evil. That's a theme I seem to get a lot from people going down Clongtoy a lot. It turns people quite evil. Is there a lot of tribalism attached to Port FC?
I wouldn't equate evil to tribalism, but the atmosphere at the moment is pretty sour, both with Thai fans and with Farang fans. I watched the match from the safe distance of Malaysia this week, which was a smart move because by half-time, the fans were barracking the players for what was arguably, I heard, the worst half of football for the whole season. We've always been a tribal, we're a working class team in a working class area, and people go to football to a lot of the time just as somewhere to go and let off steam. That's part of the fun and the excitement. So it's only fair that the fans get to vent their anger at the moment.
So running through the game, Ratchbury really started off the stronger team. They had a goal chalked off in the first half for VAR. And that was quickly followed by them taking the lead through Gabriel's far post header. Ratchbury again took the lead, doubled their lead on the 44th minute when Tanaka scored a beautiful goal from the right wing. Pulled back just before the break with a header foot by Dom Boyer, which was really against the run of play. And I think it was more Ratchbury losing concentration. Second half, Port raised again. They looked better, but still Tanaka increased the lead again with another brilliant goal from the right-hand side.
Yeah, excellent finish, yeah.
It was. And then Port had a goal ruled off for VAR, just to add to the VAR storm brewing. And then Akui scored for Port with a brilliant diving far post header. And then Malapa got his first goal from the penalty spots after another VAR ruling. So it was a tumultuous game. So
Ratchbury settled really well, which is unsurprising given Port's form going into the game. They'd lost 3 on the spin, and Ratchbury were 3 unbeaten going into it. So it wasn't overly surprising to see Ratchbury kind of take the initiative. And as you said, Simon, they had loads of success down the right side. They were able to kind of build up in deeper areas and leave Tanaka free, and they had real success finding him early. And the Port defence couldn't get close to him. Tanaka was really well supported from the right back Curran, making great overlaps and underlaps. Yeah, Tanaka was in behind the Port defence 3 or 4 times in the first 10 minutes. It was no surprise to see him kind of leave his mark on the game with his 2 goals.
And what Henry says is also, you can look to the Port team selection of playing 2 left backs and a left winger, 2 of them out of position, Bodin playing as a second striker behind Dumbuya, and then playing Kevin Dioram and, the other name escapes me, but 2 left backs on the left-hand side. Ratchbury identified that as a weak zone and capitalised very quickly from it. You could argue that Kevin Durant had one of his poorest games the other night in a Port shirt, and yes, he got 2 assists from dead balls a bit later on in the game, but he was exposed time and time again, and his teammates struggled to cover him. I saw Honey for Tanaka's first goal trying his best, but Tanaka just drove alongside him and smashed the ball low. And for Tanaka's second goal in the second half, you can see that Pirador is struggling to get back and stop him, but it's far too late. Kevin only appears in shot when it goes to the wide angle. So not a good day in the office for Kevin, even though he got 2 assists. And I think that you could say that for a lot of players out there as well.
It's interesting that you kind of highlighted the players out of position, Toby, because when I was watching the game, it was something I identified that Ratchaburi were really comfortable letting Port have the ball in the wide areas, and they were really trying to deny them space inside. And Port lost it time and time again, particularly in the left-back area. And that's something Ratchaburi were able to counter on, because when they won it back, they made great switches of play, and in transition, they were able to free up their winger, Tanaka, which is where he got his success from.
Certainly, and they were dragging Shimura and Pirador out of position time and time again. A lot of people sometimes say that Shimura's, he's everywhere and he's always struggling. He's not. He's trying to mop up for his teammates a lot of the time, because he's taking on the responsibility.
And obviously, we have to talk about the VAR. That was 16 minutes worth of wasted time during that game.
Yeah, this is a game we should be speaking about for the entertainment, for the good quality attacking, the poor defending, but what was an entertaining game of football. But what I take away from it was 16 minutes sitting on my bum watching VAR decisions, and the time it takes to get to them is crazy for the match going spectator and at home. There's really no value there, and the problems boil down to the lack of infrastructure and technology. Because we sat and watched these decisions time after time. One of them took the best part of 7 minutes. Even after the review, you still weren't sure whether the right decision had been made. So why are we spending this time, reviewing these decisions? One of the offside decisions, the camera angle must be the best part of 20 meters on the angle from it. So there's no way of having a definitive angle. The same problems have happened in different leagues across the world. But the fact that these decisions took so long to get to, and I genuinely don't think all 3 of them we achieved the right decision. Like, they could not be certain that we achieved the right decision in all of them. So, yeah, it left a bit of a bitter taste in my mouth, because, I just don't think that's the way. Well, it's not the way I want to see the game go.
Would you have it removed if you had the choice?
Well, I saw this week in Norway they voted to remove it. I think in the right cases it can be used well. Goal line technology is quick and efficient. I think they're making good strides in Europe and international football with automation. But for me, it takes away the passion of the game. Scoring a goal, you should be able to celebrate. For as long as that's not going to happen, then I'm probably too much of a romantic in that sense.
I think it needs to be instantaneous. I mean, I think in the European game now, we've got chips and balls on the continent, not in the UK, but on the continent at least, that they can check an offside on the computer almost instantly. And so that makes the game flows still. But when we've got inconclusive decisions being made, it just ruins the game full stop. And I think it's a good thing, because I think the Thai league, it cuts down on the corruption, which is still there, but at least it cuts down on it to an extent. Unless we can have it running smoothly and quickly, it's awful. The fans will walk away in the end.
Yeah, I think so. As a product, it doesn't benefit when you're looking to sell and market the Thai game. If somebody had watched the 3-3 without the VAR, they would have enjoyed themselves and had a great time. But they've spent an extra 20 minutes, not watching the game, watching a monitor to achieve a decision that nobody knows if it was actually right or not.
Yeah. Nobody looks back in games before the VAR was implemented and think, oh gosh, I wish VAR was around for that. I think of the Liverpool-Chelsea Champions League semi-final where Mourinho lost it over whether the ball went over the line and stuff. And that's part and parcel of the game. Now, if the technology was refined enough to work smoothly, to identify if it is a goal or if it isn't a goal, if it's a red card or not a red card, then great. But as Henry said earlier, the offside camera was not in a position really to judge an offside on Friday night. And we've seen this weekend in the Premier League with Michael Oliver and the red card decision there. Instead of a card arguably being rescinded, they're just working to kind of justify the opinion or the red card as well. So there's still so much to refine here that I understand why leagues like Norway are saying, well, let's remove it, and then maybe somewhere in the future when the technology is refined enough and the rules are set out clearly enough, then we can implement it properly.
Maybe it needs to be fit for purpose. I think that's the main aim, is that if it was fit for purpose, then we can move forward with it. So Ratchaburi, it wasn't really a surprise with their form going into this, though. They actually started off the better team, and it's not really a blip. I think actually they're now challenging for that top 3, top 5 berth. They've got a good squad. Is it something they can build on and move forward with, you think, and compete with the other chasers for continental football?
Well, certainly on their form, you would suggest yes. And that's six games, only one defeat, and that was to Buriram, a heavy defeat back in November. I was really impressed with them yesterday. The first half, I thought they were excellent. Again, they let themselves down, as so many teams have recently at the end of the first half. If they go in at 2-0 down, there's probably a small-scale riot in the stadium that Port are having to kind of fend off, and they can go up the road with a victory. As it were, they switched off from a set piece. It was a good header. If that header doesn't go in, I think there's also a foul in the box from Curran, which could have been a penalty and a second yellow. So they're potentially lucky that the goal did go in. But second half, I thought they were a bit slow to make changes. They got their goal and restored their lead. They sat back and they allowed Port to come back on top, and they lost control of the midfield and panicked a wee bit. And I was surprised that it took them so long to make changes. And when they did, they eventually just changed to a midfield 3 and got control of the game back and could have won it late on. But I think that the manager will be reflecting on whether he made the right changes at the right time. But overall, I was very impressed, and I think they're definitely looking up the way rather than down.
And Toby,
I would agree with that.
Port?
And I think, how long do you have, guys? Well, it's Groundhog Day again for us. This is the 3rd season running where we're kind of seeing just another carbon copy season. You can split the problem into 3 areas. Firstly, the coach. Rangsam should never have been rehired. He left. He said he's taken the team as far as he thinks he can take them. There were rumours that he was going to go to another job somewhere up the road, but he suddenly came back after we got a great away win in China and started looking like we were putting together as a team. And the closest analogy I can bring for this rehire is like resuscitating a corpse. Really, it's going to die again, and it's clear the players came back after the mid-season break just not looking fit at all. There was and with no hunger and no kind of motivation to kick on. I mean, this also lays the blame also lays with the club as well. No one's doing their job properly behind the scenes. We don't know who is actually in control. Pang's brother is the honorary president. The club used that title in all social media whenever his photo is posted. And once again, the certain hires and fires of players I think have been wrong. William Motta was a total disaster. Dumbuya, he's doing okay, but you would expect a bit more. Re-signing Tardelli as well has been a disaster. He was pulled very early on Friday night, and he's looked like the shadow of the player he was last season. But if you look on the pitch, and I'm sure Henry, you probably saw it. There's a lot of bad attitude on the pitch, bad body language. I was at the Konken game, and I saw 2 players, I'll go name us, bickering at each other for a good 10-15 minute period in the second half, and they wouldn't stop bickering. And I saw, I can say that Nobi Shimura came in to try and stop them bickering, but it didn't work as well. So if they're fighting on the pitch like that and they're not pulling together, we're stuck in neutral at the moment, or in reverse, you could say, and things aren't going to improve at the moment.
Yeah, you mentioned it there, and it was something I noticed watching on TV as well. Was the fitness of the players looked miles off it. The substitutes coming on the pitch looked like they'd had a few too many on the beach, and it wasn't just 1 or 2 players. It kind of seemed to go around the squad. And
yes.
As you said, Tardelli I thought was very poor and has been poor for the last few games. But this is again who's in charge? What's the signing policy of signing a 34-year-old Brazilian midfielder? What's the long-term vision here? And if these decisions could keep getting made like that and nobody's held responsible, then history's bound to repeat itself.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
Tardelli
I
being
would
called in the
also
first
say-
half must be a huge, shock for him, and really it can't be much of a confidence boost in anyone's belief in a player.
Well, he's been poor. I like I said, I didn't watch the full match. I've seen his performances in recent games, and they've been 2, 3 out of 10 at best. I don't know why he was sold. I mean, obviously things go on behind the scene. We know that in Thailand, for foreign players, it's a very quick turnover of players. We were discussing Buriram earlier, and they still, and they're the best, and they have a quick, quite a lot of turnover as well. But I feel that Felipe Amorim is very unlucky to be frozen out for the second half of the season. Yes, I know he can play. I think he can play in cup games and AFC2 games as well. But I thought he was a much better option to have on the wing than bringing Tardelli back, especially as we've just signed Peniel Malapa as well. So it's once again there's no plan in our transfer strategy. There's never really been a plan in our transfer strategy. It's we just go out with a scattergun approach and hope a few players pull together. But one of the issues with this transfer strategy is we've got a lot of deadwood in that team, both foreign and Thai players. They're just going through the motions. Several of them, like Pattenpol and Warachit, were excellent when they first joined the club, but then that was on loan, then they get contracts. And it just seems to be a bad atmosphere, not just on the pitch, but on the training ground, no cohesion, no strategy, no leaders at the moment as well. Our club captain and vice captain are Tanabun and Pakon, and they barely play. So we need a club captain. I would give it to Pirador in a heartbeat personally, and have him lead the team. But unfortunately, this is just the nature of Paul. We've always been a yo-yo club. We've only really established ourselves as a top half team in the last few years. But you can feel, if you do this 3 seasons running, of course you're going to get the frustration.
It almost needs a complete reset, really.
Yes.
So
easier said than done.
Of course, but there's always next season. I guess that's what fans always think. There's always next season. I thought Malapa was very poor when he came on, actually, and he hasn't seemed to really have gained anything since he's been at the club. He's lucky to get the penalty.
Yeah, that was a gimme.
Yeah, his stats were probably padded by the penalty goal. And he was one of the ones I was referring to that doesn't look very fit, to be honest. He didn't come on and embrace it. He didn't look ready to play, among other players. And yeah, I wasn't particularly impressed. He scored the penalty and obviously got them a point. I think he's on a long list of players that are kind of, not quite up to shape.
Yeah.
Okay, so who would be our man of the match of the game?
It's between a few for me. I thought Curran had a good game at right back for Ratchaburi. I thought Mutombo had a good game, obviously scored the goal. Saying that, they both conceded 3 goals at the end of the day. So I'm going to give it to Tanaka. I thought he was a kind of thorn in the side all through the first half. He tired in towards the end of the second half and was substituted. But I thought the work he did on the right was exposing the Port defence. Yeah, he was there all day, and I'll give it to Tanaka. And his second goal was phenomenal.
I got to agree with Henry on that. Yeah, 100% behind Henry's thoughts there. It's Tanaka. Tanaka was the difference maker. As we said earlier, they became complacent in the second half, just on those 2 goals and just the general carnage he caused down his flank in the first half. You've got to give it to Tanaka.
Well, thank you, guys. I really appreciate that. Next week, we'll be looking into another great game for you, Toby, Buriram versus Port. So be sure to catch that with us.
I'll be watching that from my bunker somewhere.
Okay. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate your time.